If you're ready for freedom from the grind, then passive income from real estate investing is the best way to get you there. If you don't know where to start or what to do next, then the Rent Roll Radio Show is the best place to get you there. Join us while we discuss the best practices, strategies, and mindset you'll need and give you actionable content to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Hey, Rent Roll Radio listeners, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm your host, Sterling Chapman. Today, we are joined by a friend of mine who's been in the game, been around town for years. I've known him since I started buying properties down here in South Louisiana. Jae Alexander, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, no problem, man. It's a pleasure to have me. I was grateful for the invite, so looking forward to it, man.
Awesome. Jae, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? How'd you get into real estate investing? What'd you do before and what made you switch?
Yeah, man. So I've always been an entrepreneur, never really wanted to work that 9 to 5. I graduated from Southern University right here in Baton Rouge in marketing. And, my whole idea of going to college was never to do the 9 to 5, but I just wanted to sharpen my entrepreneurship skills, some things that I know I would use in my journey. But during that time, I ended up working for AT&T. I worked for AT&T for about 10 years, as a sales manager. But rewind before that, coming out of high school, going through college, I started a entertainment company. And it was an event promotion company, basically. And so we were bringing different acts in town, do different parties. We had a lot of NFL draft parties for a lot of the guys that were coming, from LSU that were being drafted. So we were doing different things like that. And my strategy was to make my money from that entertainment company and invest it in real estate. And my wife, which was girlfriend at the time, she was always pushing real estate. Hey, let's do real estate. But I wanted to do my entertainment thing first. But after struggling with, trying to get myself right spiritually and then still do the entertainment scene and then newly married, it was just too much stuff going on. So, I gave up the entertainment company and I said, well, this 120% I was putting forth every day into the entertainment, let me do the same with real estate. So that's basically how I got started. And that was back in 2007, man.
2007. Man, 2007. So you started right before the crash.
I did. And the crash was happening all around us, but it was just starting to creep up with Baton Rouge. A lot of times we're the last to feel a lot of these crashes. So, I remember the first property I bought in Baker, I paid $60,000 for it, little small house. And that same property I bought over and over again within that next year for $30,000, like half the price. So, I've seen it happen. I seen it right there. Sure did.
Man, that house is probably worth $150,000 today.
Yep, you're right. You're actually, let's see. Yep, between 140 to 150. I still have that. I still have that house.
Bro, my first house was in Baker too. I mean, it was a decade later. I didn't start buying houses until 2018, but I bought that house for $72,000. And I thought that thing was never going to go up in value in a million years. 3 years later, I went to go refinance it. I just assumed it was maybe worth like 80. The thing came back $140,000.
Oh yeah, man! I tell you, that appreciation in Baker, it shocked me too, because I got my start in Baker. I've done a bunch of properties in Baker, but Baker has a special place in my heart, man. I got my start over there, bought a bunch of properties in Baker.
So what did you start? What was your strategy when you started? What's your strategy now? You wholesale some, you flip some, you have some rentals, or you just doing everything? Or what'd you start doing and how did that evolve?
Yeah, so that first property that I bought, we were looking to flip it, but it didn't work out. It didn't sell when it was supposed to sell, so we ended up making it a rental. I still have it as a rental to this day, but so when I first started, we were doing buy and holds. We were doing fix and flips. Then we got into new construction. Then we got into short-term rental. So maybe right before the pandemic, I think it may have been 18, 19, I was just looking at everything we were doing. We were doing all these different strategies. And I said, I really need to pick one thing that I can scale up, get laser focus on, and just be a beast at it. I mean, we were doing okay with everything, but I just wasn't like 120% confident, like we're killing it. So I said, I need to pick one thing I can scale. And I picked wholesaling, man, because it was more of a scalable business and I didn't have to be in one specific location. And I picked that, I would say, going into 18, going into 19. And so that's been my primary business model since. However, we do still flip. We do still do a lot of different things, but not as much. We do more of a little bit more picky when we come to that. Our main focus right now is wholesaling. So that's kind of what my business model is right now. But we still do have long-term and short-term rentals as well.
So where do you do you wholesale all over? Like, are you nationwide, or what's your business model there?
Yeah, so let's see. As far as deals with closed, so we're in the entire state of Louisiana. So we've done deals in my primary base is Baton Rouge and New Orleans, but we've sold properties in Shreveport, Jackson, Mississippi, Columbus, Georgia, Peoria, Illinois, some place outside of Tampa, Florida, Birmingham, Alabama, little town outside of Mobile, Alabama.
So how you reaching all these? What's your weapon of choice? How you market?
That's a good question too, man. So texting, right now we're doing texting, cold calling, and online marketing. So that's what we're doing right now. So we'll pick some of these cities where we have some connections, either some boots on the ground, or we may be working with a hedge fund. So different things like that. So that's our primary marketing channel right now. Those
texting and cold calling
and online. Yeah.
So what do you do online? Like
so man, I did a lot of PPC 19 and 20 and summer 21. I hadn't done a lot of actual PPC this year. But I got slaughtered early on. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I got slaughtered in PPC, dude. I lost so much money in PPC when I first got started, but I kind of got the hang of it now. But yeah, we don't do a whole lot of it as much as we used to, but we still get deals.
How does that model work? What do you mean you got slaughtered? How'd you lose money?
So what I did is I hired a company, and I won't say the company's name, but they really didn't know what they were doing, man. But it was a big company. A lot of people were supposedly using. So, I had to pay them a fee on top of marketing dollars, advertisement dollars that I had to put aside as well. So I was, easily spending thousands a month and really wasn't getting the good leads that I should have been getting. And they really weren't converting. I mean, we closed a couple deals, but if you look at that ROI, on it, the ROI just wasn't there. And it was just too much money being spent out. So I learned how to manage it and do it myself. And so that worked out a lot better because I didn't have to pay that management fee. So yeah, but that was the big thing there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of companies have that model where they want to sell you a packaged, deal, and it's tempting because I mean we're still trying to figure it out ourselves, right? Every house I've ever bought came from a wholesaler. 90% of them came from wholesalers. A handful came from like MLS, or my realtor brought me a flooded house or something like that. But we've tried direct to seller marketing, and we haven't. I mean, I was going over with my marketing guy yesterday. I mean, we've spent $8 to $10 grand in the last 2 months, and I hadn't even seen like a lead worth converting, and I'm still getting them from my wholesalers, you know what I mean? So the doors are still open, but as far as like my whole grand master plan to cut out the wholesalers and direct to sellers, we're not there yet. I'm just curious, for guys like you who have like been consistently getting these deals and converting them for years, like, what did you learn along the way where you're like, Sterling, you're wasting each other? Because our model, we got cold callers. We just started. We got 2 cold callers.
Okay.
We haven't done the text messaging thing I don't manage any of this process. I got, my marketing guy does it. And but he does a good job managing everything. But we got 2 cold callers. We for whatever reason, he decided to skip the text message campaigns.
Yeah.
We've sent a ton of mailers, and we've gotten a few. I've gone and seen, nothing great. And then we're doing this online thing where we basically like pay per lead.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought I like the pay per lead model, because then you're not paying unless you're getting a lead. But
Right.
I want to say they've sent us 1 lead in the last 2 months.
Yeah. Because I've done that too. I've done everything that you just called out. Yeah. So, all right. How long have you been doing it?
2 months.
All right. So it normally takes 90 days before you start to see any traction in any marketing campaign. You got to give it at least 90 days.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And then you can kind of see, what's the quality of leads coming in versus what you're spending out, to kind of see if it's worth to continue it. But most people within the 30 to 60 days, they tap out. Most people, they get right where you are and they throw it in the towel. That most people, and that's and it is hard to keep going when you don't see it, man. It really is.
Yeah.
This is sales and marketing business. It's special, man. It's not cut out for everybody, but what I would recommend to you is to keep going, but kind of look at those numbers to make sure you're not wasting too much money, because that seems like a lot with you just starting out spending that much money. Anybody that's starting out new trying to market, I wouldn't recommend they spend a whole lot of money, early on. Kind of test it with just 1,000 here, 1,000 there for the first couple of months, and then start to ramp it up once it's proven.
Yeah. So what kind of deals do you typically like once you get a lead? So walk me through the process, like soup to nuts, like how you start versus like when you're ready to send it out to me. And then like, what do you look for? What makes a deal for you? How do you run those numbers?
Yeah. So let's see. We can just take texting, for example. So I got a guy that's on my team that does the texting for me. He's actually overseas, so he responds to texting and different things like that. When it looks like someone is basically raising their hand and say, "Hey, I'm interested in selling," they push it over to my CRM. It pops up in my CRM, which I use Podio. It comes over to Podio. I have 2 lead managers, so we want to try to get to that as quick as it come in. They pick up the phone and call them and basically qualify them to make sure that they really do want to sell, find out, why they want to sell, pretty much, but just a surface level call. And then they set up an appointment with our acquisition managers, so our salespeople, which are 2. We have 2 salespeople. And they set up an appointment. Let's say a good time is 2:00, tomorrow, or, within the next hour or something. And then my salespeople, they call them. And they kind of go through just an intro process, introducing ourselves, telling them who we are and what we do, to just even see if they fit our business model. And then we let them know up front. We have a couple of different exit strategies. Our goal is to, make this a win-win for you guys. So some of these properties we do fix and flip, some we buy and hold, and some we do partner with other investors. So it just depends on how the numbers work, depends on what exit strategy we use. So we do let them know up front what's happening. And then we even ask them, depending on if they reached out to us or not, we'll ask them, what made them reach out to us versus listening on the market, because we don't fit, everybody's, mode, for selling. Our typical sellers are, and then we'll kind of say some different things that our typical seller is. And we might say, hey, does this sound like, something you may be interested in, or does this sound like this fits what you're looking for? That's just kind of like a brief overview off the top of my head of what we do. Once that qualification starts and they say, well, yeah, that does kind of fit me. I do want to close fast. I don't want to wait on a realtor. I don't want anybody to pick my property apart. And then they'll say, well, yeah, great. Well, this will be something that we can help you with. And they'll go through the process of questions, motivation, condition of the property, timeline, when they want to sell, and then they get into pricing. A lot of times, really what's happening in these next couple of months, that's what's happening now. We got to educate them on what's happening in the market, because sellers are always 4, 5, 6 months behind what's happening in the market. So then we have to educate them on that. Long story short, we get the property under contract with an agreement. We send it out, DocuSign, get it signed. Then it comes to our dispositions department, which I'm kind of hands-on the dispo part. And then we basically get it out to you guys. Now, as far as what a deal looks like, I stopped really being strict on that because I used to analyze a deal based on what I thought a deal was, what I would buy. I stopped doing that, man, because there's a lot of deals I've sold that I never thought people would buy, depending on the situation. But everybody has different needs. You know, some people don't need a big ROI like we may need it. You know, some people may be buying this property for tax purposes and for depreciation. So the deal just gotta, it has to make sense, though. It can't be crazy, So, but I do have a calculator that I did for my salespeople, where we put in like repair costs, and it says the repair, the 70% and all of that kind of stuff, ARV and all of that. But we do use that, but you can't go off that all the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So how many deals do you think you do a month?
So we are averaging, it's not a lot, man. I would say 3 to 5 deals. I need to look and see how many we've done for the year, maybe 40. I think we've done 40 some transactions, between 40 to 50 this year. So we average between 3 to 5. It fluctuates. Some months we have 7 to 8, but it averages 3 to 5 a month.
And what do those deals typically look like on the numbers? Like what's your purchase? What's typically like, what's the ARV? What's the purchase price? What do they look like?
That, man, it's all over the place, man. We may have a deal, off Highland where, we got the property under contract at 200 some thousand, and we bumped it up a little bit, and, we're selling it for 250,000. Then in the next email, we got a property in 70805 that we blasting out for 25,000. So it's all over the place. So we really don't have a typical deal. Then I may have another deal that's a land deal in New Orleans, in the Lower Ninth Ward, that we got out there for 15,000. So it's all over the place. So there's no specific, I stopped that a long time ago too, because there were certain areas that I wouldn't buy in, and so I wasn't marketing to that. But I stopped doing that too. Once I just opened myself up, since I'm actually business model of a wholesaler now, opened it up, I was able to do more deals.
Nice. So what's your long-term goal? Because I think the model. When I got into real estate investing, I did it backwards. Like it sounds like you kind of went the other direction too. So a lot of folks get in, they start wholesaling, and then they kind of like migrate to, okay, well now I can start flipping some houses. Now I can start holding some rentals. And I think that probably has more to do with like their availability of resources, right? Like I had a high paying job when I started wholesaling. When I started, investing in real estate, so I didn't like have to wholesale to like build up capital to buy rentals. So I started and I built this whole rental portfolio, and then I started flipping houses. And you know what I mean? And I still have yet to wholesale. Apparently I'm not very good at direct sales marketing. So, but like, the idea is long-term wealth, and that's why we buy and hold all the rentals. And passive income, right? So you're not working all the time. That's why we have it. Now, after building up the rental portfolio, I can tell you that dream is kind of a dream about the whole passive income. And you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of long-term wealth, but like with the rental income, I find it works two ways. It's either not passive or it's not income. In my experience, getting somebody else to try and take care of it, they're not going to take care of your stuff as good as you. And then if you're taking care of it, well, you're back to working again. So it's your intention to continue to scale the wholesale business and like fully staff it and remove yourself there to where that is your passive income engine, that business is kicking off money while you're not actually working in it? Or do you intend to pivot back to the long-term buy and hold strategy to kind of build your wealth that way?
Yeah, so I would say both. I learned the hard knock lesson too, as far as with the rentals. I think at 2017, 2018, I think I had about 27 doors at the time, and I started liquidating a lot of these properties. I think I have half of that now. What I found out is, like you said, it's definitely not passive, and all of it was leverage. I was doing Burr before I even knew what it was. I mean, when I first found out about Burr, I said, "Oh, that's what you guys call Burr." I
Yeah,
said, "Dude,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been I've been burring that, forever, man. I've been burring since '07." But anyway, uh, I had that cash flow coming in and it was leveraged. And, I would rehab these properties pretty good before I rent them out. I didn't just do the minimum to it, but it was always just stuff coming up with these properties, eating your cash flow up. So what I tell people, if you're buying these rentals, remember it's a long-term game. Do not
Yeah.
depend on it. Don't depend on this cash flow if you leverage. Don't depend on that cash flow.
Right.
Uh, and a lot of people say the opposite. They want you to depend on it. You can't do that, man. And so,
Yeah, man.
you just can't. And it takes people that's in the trenches that's really doing it, to tell you that, and you really find that out. But
Yeah, especially when you go into them. What I found with Burnham,
mhm,
what I found is you're right. You almost like, I mean, conceptually, like on a spreadsheet, you got cash flow, but like in reality, you don't really have cash flow because all this
mhm,
shit eats it up.
right,
But with burn, especially because typically when you burn or when I was burned, I would pull all the money out I could, and so I was like leveraged to the gill. So I had a higher note versus like going in and buying a house, putting a down payment down, and like locking in a low 30-year note. Like some of those properties cash flow, but my theory here, and I hadn't been doing it as long as you, but hopefully it'll work out when I've been doing it as long as you, is that the rents will continue to rise,
mhm,
and my long term debt will all stay the same. So that cash flow gap will continue to spread
right,
with time. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I agree. That's a really good play. What I'm doing going forward, I just want to be the bank now, man. I'm tired of getting it out the mud. I want to be the bank. So going forward, anything I buy going forward that's a rental property, I'm doing some type of lease purchase, owner financing. I'm taking myself out the landlord seat. I just want to be the bank. I don't, even though I had a manager that was managing my properties, it still rolled downhill. I don't want to hear
Right.
anything like
Yeah.
I just want to get the real mailbox money. So
Right.
going forward, I'm only going to be doing like lease options and owner finance type stuff where it's physically almost type kind of like their property. They put in a down payment. I'm not the landlord. Anything happens, they're responsible for it. So that's my play going forward. As far as on the wholesale tip, I want to grow that wholesale business into multiple seven-figure business, possibly bring in a COO with the operations and everything. I got a couple of friends that's doing that now. And I want to get more into lending, being a lender. I do some transactional funding right now. I do some small lending with personal friends that I know, or a lot of people that want to burr.
So
We funded
tell
some deals.
tell me about that funding. So
Mhm.
like, is that your cash you're lending to people, or you borrow money at a lower rate and lending it out at a higher rate?
So I have a partner, man. I have a couple partners, and they're high net worth individual, high W-2, people, and that's what we're doing. We all pooling together, and we funding deals for people that I know, like somebody like you, Sterling, that I know has experience. You have a track record, and so they'll call and say, "Hey, Jay, I got this deal, man. I need to buy cash 80 grand, and I'm gonna go back and refinance with the bank, but I just need to be able to get it. And the only way I'm gonna get it is if I can close quick. So, that's a 30, 45 day in and I will fund that deal, charge them some points up front, a little interest.
Yeah, yeah. What does
Yeah.
that look like? What does that look like for a guy like me? Or is that something we should take offline?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. So look, let's take that offline because it's gonna fluctuate on experience.
Sure.
But yeah, so we got a couple of loans out now, but they all should be coming within the next couple of months. A lot of that cash should be back. But yeah, so I want to get more into that too, man. Like I said, I really want to be the bank now. Like it's just
Yeah.
such a better seat. I got the experience. I've been beat up a lot of trial and error, and I just want to be the bank now, man. And even talk with you about some of this multifamily situation. I hadn't dived into that yet either, but that's the position I'm going to.
Now, multifamilies, what I found, or what has been my experience, is they do cash flow. They cash flow a lot
Yeah.
better than the single family space, just because there's so many economies of scale there, right? Like, if like with my rental portfolio, my single families in Baton Rouge, like they all got different faucet handles. They all got different flooring. They all got different, parts. They're all spread out all over the place. So you got like, I got to send somebody across town. They got to look at it. You know what I mean? They're on the clock the whole time. They got to look at it. Oh, it's this part. They got to drive to the, you know what I mean? Drive back and forth to the hardware store 6 times. And they done spent half their day trying to replace this little, oddball attachment on a hot water heater that's different than every other one. Versus my apartment complexes, what we got is like every single thing in that entire facility is exactly the same. Every single unit is exactly the same. It's got the same knobs. It's got the same flooring. It's got the same hot water heater, same spec AC. You know what I mean? And we stockpile those parts, and they're all in one location. So there's just huge efficiencies right there. You know what I mean? Versus the how we're doing the single family space. So that is what I've found to be predictable cash flow on those large multifamilies. You can really get efficient on them.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's definitely something I definitely want to look into as well. I just I don't want to hop around yet until I kind of master what I'm doing now. So, but yeah, I definitely want to get into that.
Awesome. Well, let's hop over to our radio round real quick. Just let our listeners get to know you a little bit better. So we got 3 questions. The first one is, what's your favorite book?
A favorite book. So, of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of those foundation ones, but I just read a really good one by Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. And that was a good book. I enjoyed it, man. It was a really good book, and it teaches you basically to get out of your head and take action. There's so many things that goes on in our head, and we talk ourselves out of different stuff, and just stop thinking about it and just take action. And I enjoyed that book. That was a good one.
Awesome. What's your favorite quote?
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, man. I've been hearing that one a lot lately.
Yeah.
And that's so true. It's that it's that integrity that you carry in every in every part of your life.
Yeah.
Right. That's good stuff. What's your favorite thing to do when you're not working?
When I'm not working, it's just about family and spirituality, man. Serving Jehovah and my family, spending time with my family, my wife, my daughter, and extended family, my sister and aunts. And it's just about family and spirituality when not. And I love to travel too. So once I can step back a little more and get some operations going, I really like to travel.
Where are you headed?
Oh, where am I? Where will I be headed once I be?
Where will you be headed? Yeah,
man. So I would say between Florida, California, and New York, man. I like those 3 spots, and I love the Caribbean. I've been to a lot of places in the Caribbean, and I love the Caribbean.
Man, I used to live in Venezuela. We were right there next to the Caribbean, so we used to go all the time. Aruba and Los Roques Islands. So yeah, definitely some places to check out.
Yeah, it's nice out there.
So the most important question: when are you going to send me my next deal?
Hey, I got you, man. I got you. I still got that. I still have the garden district home. We're trying to do something with it, but I got you. I'm gonna put something up for you.
I need to buy 60 houses this year, and we have established that I can't find them on my own. So I'm gonna be leaning in hard on you guys. I need your help. So definitely keep me top of mind with that.
We'll do. We'll do help. You don't touch New Orleans, do you?
Man, I just locked up one in Metairie. I flipped one in Metairie before, and I did really well on it. the problem with New Orleans, I don't know the New Orleans market. I don't know, like, you could have one block, you could have crack houses, a block over, you could have $1 million houses. I can't look at, like, I can't trust, prop stream, you know what I mean? Because it groups in too much stuff that's just not even relevant. That's and right. I can't just drive out there. It's an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Every time something comes up, so I avoid New Orleans. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I've really enjoyed the one in Metairie. That mm-hmm. worked out well, so I'm going for another one in Metairie. I don't like to bus my guys that far because it's distracting because they're traveling all the time. Yeah. But if I could get a handful more in the Metairie area, I've looked at the North Shore. I've looked at a few deals over there because that whole area is pretty much good. But I've never locked anything up over there. But I'm certainly open to Metairie, and maybe if I get more educated in the New Orleans geography and the market. I'm just terrified I'm going to buy something without, I'm like, man, I'm not going to drive out there. I'm just going to buy it. Like I do that all the time in Baton Rouge. Yeah. And then I'm going to get out there and be like, oh man, this is the most dangerous street in, Southern United States. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, I get it. So Kenner and Metairie are more like Baton Rouge. You got, right. You got a lot of the brick houses on slab out there. So it's different. So yeah, the Kenner and Metairie feels more like home. So I get it. Yeah, for sure. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you joining us today. How can our listeners get in touch with you, find out more about you, get on that wholesaler list? Yeah, they can reach out to me on Instagram, man. I'm trying to up my game on social media. I see it's a must, so I got to do that. So. Pinnacle Homes, LLC. That's PINNACLE, Homes with an S, LLC, 504. So that's where they can find me. Pinnacle Homes, LLC, 504. And it'll be Jae Alexander, JAE, and then Alexander on Instagram. And they can reach out to me. Awesome, Jay. Well, I appreciate you, man. I really, really enjoyed it, and look forward to catching up with you. Hoping to see you at our meeting next week. Sounds good. I would definitely be there, man. And we still got to get together on a lunch or something, man. Just let me know. Hey, man, let me know. Come check out the new office, and we'll grab lunch down the street. Sounds good. I'll get that set up. I'll let you know.
This episode was brought to you by Crestworth Capital. If you're a busy professional and ready to make passive income from real estate investing, then go to crestworthcapital.com, where you'll be able to download a free copy of our ebook to help you get started today. Until next week, happy investing.